What's going on, guys? JSGC here, back again for another daily Manchester City transfer update. So before I do crack on with today's update, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then do subscribe to my channel. It is free to subscribe, and I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day here on YouTube with all the latest City transfer news. Also, don't forget as well to go and check out my social media links. They're in the description, including my X, Instagram and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorship for any videos or any general business inquiries. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up on today's video. We're aiming for 300 likes, and also don't forget as well to get your thoughts in the comments below. So we're going to start off with some really interesting contract news. We've got the very latest on Ruben Dias, and Sam Lee at The Athletic has said that Manchester City are going to open up talks with Ruben Dias to extend his contract once the Club World Cup has come to an end. Now, Ruben Dias has been selected as one of 4 captains at Manchester City this summer by Pep Guardiola himself. Bernardo Silva is Man City's main captain. However, Ruben Dias is one of the backup captains, and the plan is here that Man City want to tie down Ruben Dias to a new long-term contract, and I'm sure keeping in mind that they will see him as potential captain material. Now, Ruben Dias is 28 years old. He's got 2 years left on his Manchester City contract, and I imagine that Manchester City would be working on a new contract here, taking into mind Ruben Dias's age, and be looking at a contract maybe until 2029 or 2030. Ruben Dias, of course, is a centre-back, a defender, so defenders are normally able to not necessarily play on longer than other players, but you do tend to see older centre-backs who are able to compete at the very highest level in the Premier League, including that at Manchester City. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Ruben Dias playing for Manchester City into his 30s and still doing a very good job, rather than thinking to yourselves that once a player gets to 30, 31 years old and you start to think to yourself about who's going to be the next upcoming player who's going to replace this player in the long term. It's not uncommon to see high quality centre-backs playing 34, 35, 36 years old. So I wouldn't have any problem with Man City tying down Ruben Dias until 2029 or 2030 if Man City are happy to go with Ruben Dias. Now, I know Ruben Dias kind of splits a little bit of opinion amongst you guys, but I still think Ruben Dias is a very capable, very organised centre-back, and if you put a really good backline both next to him and in front of him, I think you'd see Ruben Dias really prosper, because I think he's a real leader on the pitch. He leads that backline as well, and I think it's a really important spot to have a leader on the pitch who's going to lead that backline, who's going to help lead Manchester City's defence. So I've got no problems whatsoever with City working on a new contract for Ruben Dias, and as far as I'm concerned, the sooner he signs a new contract, the better. And it's kind of the same situation with Rodri as well. Sam Lee has also confirmed that once the Club World Cup does come to an end, City are also going to be working hard this summer to get Rodri onto a new contract. This is amid some more interest coming in from Real Madrid in Rodri. Real Madrid will be looking to sign the biggest and best players out there who are available, and Rodri would definitely be the kind of calibre of player that they would be looking for. Now, I'm well aware of the spat that happened over Rodri winning the Ballon d'Or, and I hope Rodri keeps that in mind when he thinks about what the future may have in store for him, and think to himself that actually what he wants to do is stay at Manchester City. Now, as we're seeing Rodri start to come out from the other side from his ACL injury, I have no doubt that within the next 12 to 24 months we will see Rodri once more back at his very best. And just like the situation that we had with Ruben Dias, Rodri's 29 years old, but it's not uncommon to see players who are maybe playing in a deeper role on the pitch. It's not uncommon to see these kind of players playing well into their 30s. So I wouldn't be very concerned that with Rodri having 2 years left on his contract, that by the time he's 31, I'm going to think to myself that he's past it, because I don't think that is going to be the case. And again, just like with Ruben Dias, I'd have no problem with Man City putting Rodri onto a new long-term contract and tying him down until 2029 or 2030. So we're looking here at 4 5-year contracts for players who are in their late 20s, but these are the kind of experienced heads, the proven winners, the high quality, some of the creme de la creme out there in the players in their position. And as far as I'm concerned, Man City would be a much weaker team without Rodri in it and without Ruben Dias in it. And going off the fact that we've got one of the biggest and best teams in the world in Real Madrid interested in potentially bringing Rodri in, and obviously wanting wanting to get rid of the spat that happened during the Ballon d'Or of what happened between Rodri, Real Madrid and Vinicius Jr., that Manchester City are going to have to do everything they can to try and keep hold of Rodri at the club. So I just think that some of the best bits of business that City can do, we want to be focusing on players leaving and bringing the size of the squad down and thinking about adding more potential quality into the team, but sometimes it's just about keeping hold of your best players and tying them down to new long-term contracts. And keeping hold of Rodri at City, I think, would be one of the best bits of business that we could do this summer, and getting him onto a new deal. So as far as I'm concerned, same with Ruben Diaz, sooner rather than later. If we can get that done ASAP, then I'd be very happy with getting both players onto new long-term contracts. I imagine City will also be working hard to try and get Phil Foden onto a new contract as well. Now, moving on to the out, we've got the very latest on Stefan Ortega Moreno, and gone into a bit more detail in what we were speaking about in yesterday's transfer update. And Sam Lee has confirmed that Stefan Ortega could well be tempted to leave Manchester City this summer. He's got just 12 months left on his Manchester City contract. He's done an interview with Rob Dawson at ESPN yesterday, where he remained pretty coy on his future. Edison went out there and committed and said he's going to be staying at Man City. He's not leaving this summer, where Ortega just hasn't said that. Ortega said he's keeping the future open. He doesn't know what's going to happen. But Sam Lee saying that Stefan Ortega here has got one eye on the World Cup with Germany, so he wants to be a first choice goalkeeper playing on a regular basis, because he thinks that's going to be his best opportunity of going to the World Cup with Germany next summer. And Manchester City aren't going to be able to offer that, in particular with Edison staying. So what I can see happening here is Manchester City letting Stefan Ortega leave, getting a bit of money for him with him having 12 months left on his contract, and it does mean we're going to need to go out there and bring in another backup goalkeeper. Is it going to be a homegrown goalkeeper to try and help crack this non-homegrown and homegrown situation that City have had all summer, where we've got too many non-homegrown players? So 2 non-homegrown players right now, if we don't sell anybody, cannot be registered for the Champions League. We could let a non-homegrown player leave in Stefan Ortega and replace him with a homegrown player, and it means then only one more non-homegrown player would need to leave the club. Or do we want to replace Stefan Ortega, if he does leave, with another non-homegrown goalkeeper, which does mean we need the clarity sorting out of at least 2 more players leaving Man City's first team squad, whether that be on loan with the likes of the young players of Vita Hayes and or Claudio Echeverri, or sorting out maybe one of the old guard that City have got here, of maybe Ilkay Gundogan linked with a move to Turkey, or maybe another player who's not been linked with the exit door yet, who could potentially want to leave Manchester City, or it could be somebody else. We'll have to wait and see. So for me, it makes a lot of sense to replace Ortega with a homegrown goalkeeper. There's just not that many homegrown goalkeepers out there. I did speak about on my transfer show earlier on today. If you want to go and check that out live on my channel, where I spoke about the high quality James Trafford, a high quality homegrown goalkeeper that City could bring in. Complicated though in terms of the price. You're looking at 30 to 40 million pounds for a backup goalkeeper for at least 12 months, until we know what's happening with Edison, and we're going to put him onto a new contract or not. Who knows what's happening with that. And also strong interest coming in from Newcastle United makes that transfer very difficult for Manchester City, because Newcastle are going to offer James Trafford first team football right from the off, whereas City might not be able to guarantee that for another 12 months. So City need to sort out their priorities when it comes to the goalkeeping situation, and decide what do they want to do when it comes to goalkeepers both leaving and new contracts, and potentially bringing another goalkeeper in, whether that be a first choice or a second choice goalkeeper. One thing I can definitely not see happening, I know a few of you guys have been commenting saying let's bring in Diogo Costa, let him learn for 12 months from Edison, and then he can come in and be our number one. Diogo Costa's not going to play as a backup goalkeeper to Edison. He's Portugal's number one. He will want the number one spot at Man City, and whilst Edison's here, he's not going to be the number one goalkeeper at Manchester City. So this is something that City need to think seriously about, and very long about, to make sure that the player that they are bringing in to potentially replace Ortega is the right player for Manchester City. And again, another potential headache for Hugo Viana to think about in what is here a very long but important summer transfer window. So that has been today's update. If you did enjoy this video, please do leave a thumbs up. 300 likes is the aim. Also, don't forget as well to get your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe as well if you're new around here. Press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. Remember, I'm going to keep you guys up to date every single day with all the latest City transfer news this summer on YouTube every single day. Also, don't forget as well, social media links are in the description if you want to go and follow me on my X, Instagram, and TikTok. Email also in the description too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries, and I'll see you all again real soon for the next one, religiously tomorrow, for the next daily Manchester City transfer update. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. Hope everyone is safe and well. Peace. Ciao for now.